If you want to say that literally Yaakov Avinu despised her, so how could that be? Again, Efshar Bignus Peimat Mealo Dibra Akosov, Bignus Tzadikim Dibra Akosov. Also, as we said before, the Torah doesn't even speak disparagingly about animals. The Torah is going to speak disparagingly about Tzadikim. El Ra HaKadosh Baruch Hu Shesnuen Maise Isav Bifanel. Rather, I will say what it means is the following. Good morning, Mr. Shulton. Rather, what it means is the following. That what does it mean? Vayar Hashem Kisnua Leah. The Ribono Shel Olam saw that the actions and the lifestyle of Esav was despised by Leah. That what Leah wanted more than anything, I will say, in life was a life of righteousness, a life of holiness. Therefore, as a result, Vayiftach es Rachma. Ultimately, again, the Ribono Shel Olam allows her not only to marry Yaakov Avinu, but ultimately gives her children first. Because I will say, by giving Leah children first, what that does is it solidifies her relationship with Yaakov Avinu. It solidifies her marriage. Even if she is not the most beloved wife, at the end of the day, because she has children, now her place is secure. Why is she given the privilege of having her place secured initially? Because it was she's so yearned and she's so pined for that life of holiness with Yaakov Avinu. Also, what was the modesty of Rachel Imena that we discussed before? So the Gemara says, Vayagid is amazing. Vayagid Yaakov l'Rachel, ki achi avio. Because once when Yaakov introduced himself to Rachel, he says that he is the brother of her father. V'chi ben Rivko, v'alo ben achos aviohu. So 1 second. What does it mean when Yaakov Avinu says to Rachel that he is the brother of her father? He's not the brother of her father. He's the son of Rivka. Or he's the son, meaning he's ultimately her cousin. He's not the brother of her father. To which the Gemara says, Ella Amarla min sabasli. In other words, the Gemara says something amazing. Yaakov Avinu goes in and says to Rachel, marry me. Amarla in. She says yes. Miu Abba Ramahu v'lo yachlis. So this is amazing. So Rachel says yes, but I have to tell you, my father is a real rabbi. My father is a very underhanded, sneaky individual. And v'lo yachlis, I'm just telling you, you're not going to be able to best him. There's no way you'll be able to overcome him. So I'm just telling you, I'm happy to marry you, but I don't know what he's going to try to pull. Amrle, Myra Muse, like what? What do you think he's going to try to pull? So Rachel says, I have an older sister, Leah, and I know that my father will not marry me off before she is married off. To which Yaakov says, don't worry, Achiv ani beramos. I could be just as sly as your father, right? I could be just as much as, that's what it means when it says, Ki achi aviyahu. I am the father, that he told that he was the brother of her father. Meaning, in other words, if your father is going to be underhanded, I could be underhanded as well. So we'll say this is amazing. So we'll say ultimately again, but Rachel Imenu says, but is it permitted for a person to be so underhanded? Is it permitted for a tzaddik? I will say, by the way, herein lies such an incredible distinction ultimately between men and women as well. Men have an incredible way of the ends justifying the means, right? That as long as ultimately the goal is noble, I can employ a whole bunch of different approaches. So again, the Bini Yisera Ben Nashim understands that if you have to employ negative circumstance or negative mechanisms in order to actualize your result, it's not good. So again, Yaakov Imenu says, don't worry, I got this. To which Rachel Imenu says, really? Like, are you sure? Because you're a righteous individual, are you sure it's appropriate for you to act this way? Amar Allah, to which the Gemara says, Yaakov Avinu says, Yaakov Avinu says, yes, sometimes you have to be underhanded. He quotes the pasuk. Will say, obviously, he's not, well, whatever this means that he's quoting this pasuk from Shmuel, Im navar titabar, im ikesh tispalal. Titapal, excuse me. With an honest person, you should be honest. And with a crooked person, Abosa, you should try to be a bit sly. In other words, the Navi is saying that ultimately, sometimes, depending on who you're dealing with, you have to employ different kinds of behaviors. So what happens? In an effort to make sure that Lavan can't switch Rachel with Leah, Masala Simanim. he gave Rachel some type of signs, whatever the signs were, so that she'd be able to identify herself to him at the chuppah. Ki kama aili, Ki kama aili la Leah. So Shlomo says, sure enough, Rachel Aminu was right, and Laban tries to substitute Leah for Rachel at the chuppah. Savris, what happens? Leah is being taken to the chuppah. Savra, hashta michsafa achsoi. So Rachel Aminu says, my sister's going to be embarrassed because now what's going to happen? She's going to get to the chuppah. The signs won't be there, and what's going to occur? She's going to be outed. So Masrasinu nihile. So we'll say, so again, Rachel Aminu gives Leah the signs. V'hainu dichsiv, and therefore again she's able to pass herself off as Rachel. V'hainu dichsiv, v'hi baboker, v'hine hi Leah. That's why the pasuk says on both sides that in the morning, when it was light, ultimately Yaakov Avinu saw that it was Leah. Michlal dat hashta lav Leah. So what does that mean? Until now it wasn't Leah. El mitoch simon and shemasar lo Yaakov l'Rachel umasarta l'Leah lo havayada la ad hahi shaita. That Rabbi said ultimately again because Rachel Aminu gave the signs over to Leah. Ultimately, again, Leah was able to pass herself off as Rachel, and it wasn't until the next morning that Yaakov Avinu had discovered that in fact he was married to Leah Imenu. So we'll say, so this was the incredible tznius, the incredible modesty, ultimately of Rachel Imenu not wanting her sister to be embarrassed. Abba Khalifa. Kruya Merabchia bar Abba. So we'll say, so the Abba, this is actually Abba Khalifa. We'll say Kruya is the name of his place from Chia bar Abba. Bichlalan atamotzi shivim. So we'll say, so again, so just so you understand how this whole thing kind of wraps together. So we'll say, so therefore the Gemara suggests the following. So therefore this have come from Rachel. Why should the Bechor have come from Rachel? Because ultimately again, Rachel Aminu was the one who was supposed to marry Yaakov first. Because of the incredible tznius, because of the incredible modesty of Rachel Aminu, that she did not want her sister to be embarrassed. She gives the signs. Leah is married first. Because ultimately, again, of the intensity of Leah to be married to a tzaddik and to live a life of kedusha, she is blessed with children first. But because of the incredible mesiras nefesh of Rachel Imenu, so ultimately the Bechorah comes back to her later on through Ruvain's mistake, and ultimately at that point in time, the transfer of the Bechorah back to Yosef, the firstborn of Rachel Imenu. An incredible story. So the Gemara says the following: Abba Khalifa Merabchia bar Abba. Bichlalan atamotzi shivim, bepratan atamotzi shivim chaser echad. So the Torah tells us that there are 70 people who came down to Mitzrayim, but yet when we count it out, we only find 69. Amarle, to Umahaisem Dina. There was a twin who was born with Dina. Tichsev as Dina Bito. Because we'll say the extra, the VS, and Dina, his daughter. S is a riboy. S usually comes to include something additional. Therefore, again, we see that there was a twin who was born with Dina. That's the full 70. Ata to Umahaisa in Binyamin. But 1 second, using that logic, it was then there must have been a twin that was born with Binyamin as well. After all, what does it say? It says Ve'es by Binyamin as well. So does that mean that there was a twin by Binyamin? To which the Gemara says, Amar Margalis Tova Haisibiyadi. So he said to him, I had a beautiful stone, a beautiful jewel in my possession. In other words, I have an answer, but I didn't really want to give you the answer. Why did he want to give me the answer? Take a look at the Rashbam. Margalis Tova, top line. So let's say, here's an amazing thing. Sometimes you see this in the Gemara. It would ask a Rebbe a question, and the Rebbe Dafka would not want to answer it. Why? Because he wanted the Talmud to try to figure it out on his own. So he says, I have an answer for you. I didn't want to give it to you because I wanted you to figure it out. But now that you're not figuring it out, I'm going to tell you the answer. Third line down. Rabbi Chama bar Chanina said, Zu Yocheved. We'll say, who was the 70th person who was part of the group of the 70? Because actually also we just learned this yesterday. This was Yocheved. Shoras Sabedar 2 days ago. Shoras Sabederech v'leidasa ben Achamos, who was conceived on the way down to Egypt. Again, it was born ultimately again as they entered into the walls. Shneimar Asher Yalda Osa LeLevi b'Mitzrayim, who was when talking about Yocheved, it tells us she was born to Levi in Egypt. Leidasa b'Mitzrayim, ben Horasa b'Mitzrayim. Her birth was in Egypt, but conception was outside of Egypt. Fine. Ba'amini Rabbi Chalmon b'Reb Shlomo Nachmani Ksiv Vayikasha Yalda Rachel es Yosef. So it says the Gemara. The pasuk says, and it was when Rachel gave birth to Yosef. So the rest of the pasuk is Vayomer Yaakov al Lavan Shalchini ve'elchon likom l'artzi. So the pasuk says, and it was when Rachel gave birth to Yosef. Yosef approaches Lavan and says, "It's time for me to go home." So asks the Gemara, "Maishna kiyas yalid Yosef." So we'll say, so meaning the pasuk seems to say that it was dafka only after the birth of Yosef that Yaakov felt that it was time to go home. Why? Why was it? What was it about the birth of Yosef that said to Yaakov, "It's time to journey back to Eretz Yisrael"? So Amalei Ra says, "Kiyas yalid Yosef." Amalei Ra Yaakov Avinu. Because Yaakov saw prophetically that the offspring of Esau, which Rabbi say is a specific reference to Amalek, that Amalek would only be vanquished by the offspring of Yosef. That Yosef had a special koach to conquer Esau. Shneimar, v'haya beis Yaakov ish, the house of Yaakov will be fire. Ubeis Yosef lahava, but Yosef will be the flame. Ubeis Esau lekash, and the house of Esau ultimately will be straw. So we'll say, so without the flame, the fire can't consume, and therefore again Yosef HaTzadik was the flame. So apparently again what the Gemara is saying over here is something amazing. That it was only after the birth of Yosef that Yaakov Avinu felt his family was armed with the requisite merit to go back to Eretz Yisrael and to face any enemy, including Esau. In other words, Yaakov Avinu, interesting that Yaakov Avinu knows deep down that probably Esau is going to find him. And he does not know exactly what Esau's intentions were. So the pasuk indicates that it was only once he had Yosef that he felt armed with the necessary zuchus to go out and face this enemy, or this potential enemy. So the Gemara asked the kasha, Vayakom. So we'll say, here's what's interesting. The pasuk over here is discussing David HaMelech's war with Amalek, and ultimately again discusses the fact that David HaMelech was able to successfully beat back Amalek. So we'll say, so what do you see over here? You see David HaMelech successfully vanquishing Amalek. So why is this a kasha on both sides? Because we just got finished saying, who is the only one who has the skills to be able to vanquish Amalek? Yosef. Yet here you see David HaMelech, who's from Shevet Yehuda, is successfully vanquishing Amalek, to which the Gemara says, Amalek, Dak, listen to this on both sides. So he asked this question. So remember, this is a conversation. This is Rabbi Chelbo is asking from Shmuel Bar Nachmani. So Rabbi Shmuel Bar Nachmani goes ahead and answers. Rabbi Chelbo asks another question from this pasuk of David HaMelech. Rabbi Shmuel Bar Nachmani responds. It's Rabbi Chelbo. Listen, me, Amarle, the Akaryach Navi, whoever taught you Navi, Lo Akaryach Ksuvi, has not taught you Ksuvin. In other words, he's saying you should have paid a little bit more attention in Shir. Because the pasuk says, Belechto el Tziklag, Naflu Allah Miminasha. Because the pasuk quotes over here, the pasuk on Divrei Yavin. That when David HaMelech went to Tziklag to assemble his army, who joined David HaMelech's army? Naflu Allah Miminasha, Adna v'Yozebed v'Yidol u'Michol v'Yozavad v'Eliu v'Tzilse Rosh Elaf Masher leMenashe. So we'll say, so what does the pasuk say? The pasuk explicitly says who joined David HaMelech's army? The most valiant warriors from Menashe. Menashe, of course, is the offspring of Yosef. So you see from here that David HaMelech was only successful. Why Abba say? Because again, the valiant warriors of Yosef were with him in his battle. Maasiv Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef raises a kasha. Umehen b'nei Shimon hochu lahar seir anoshim chamish meos. So now the pasuk is quoting from Divrei Yamim again, and amongst them were the men of Shimon who went to Har Seir, right? Went to do battle with Seir, and who were they? 500 men: Palatya, Naariya, Refaya, Uziel b'nei Yishai b'rosham. So we'll say, so again, the pasuk says, "Vayuku asherus apleta la'Amalek, vayeshu sham adei yom hazeh." They wiped out the remnant of Amalek. Obviously not full Amalek, but a good part of Amalek. So we'll say, so again, who do you see over here? You see B'nai Shimon wiping out Amalek, which is not B'nai Yosef. To which the Gemara says, Amar Bar Shila, Yishi mibnei Menashe asi. We'll say Yishi was one of the warriors listed in the pasuk was the offspring of Menashe, because the pasuk says Ubnei Menashe chefer v'Yishi. So we'll say ultimately again you see that in every successful war with Amalek, who is there? The offspring of Yosef. Without the offspring of Yosef, we cannot fight a successful battle against Amalek. Good. Well, so now we get back a little bit to regular halacha. Not regular halacha, exciting halacha. But again, halachos habachor. Tarabanan. So we'll say, watch this. Fascinating brisa. Habachor noto pishnayim. Habachor takes double portion. Bizroa ubelichayim ubekeva. So we'll say it's not a fine situation. This is talking about a Kohen. We'll call him Aaron a Kohen. And what happens? Aaron dies. And let's say in Aaron's possession are some of the Kohanic gifts. So we'll say when you go ahead and you offer up an animal, so the halach is you give to the Kohen the zroa, the foreleg, the lechayim, which is the jaw, and the keva, which is the stomach. These are Kohanic gifts that a Kohen gets from an animal that's shechted. So we'll say, let's say the Kohen dies before he gets a chance to consume these items. So the Gemara says this passes down as a Yerusha to his sons. And if he has a Bachar, the Bachar gets Pishnayim in these items as well. Ubimukdoshin, I will say similarly again in consecrated items, and again, we're going to define ultimately what this means. Bimukdoshin, if the Kohen left behind consecrated items, the Bachar, first wide line, the Bachar gets Pishnayim in that. Ubishavach sheshavchu nechasav la'achar misasavin. I will say, interestingly enough, any appreciation that occurs within what we'll call estate property, the Bachar gets Pishnayim of that as well. So what the Gemara seems to be saying is the following: that the value of the estate is not locked in at the time of death. In other words, should there be some type of appreciation after the death of the father, before the division of the estate, so the Bachar shares in that appreciation. He'll still get Pishnayim in that appreciation as well. We're going to discuss all these cases. So Ketzar. So we'll say, let's deal. Ketzar, what's the case? If the father left behind a cow, and the cow was in Mukhracha, so we'll say Mukhracha ultimately means it was a rental agreement, where, or I should say a lease agreement, where there's not a flat fee for the lease. Rather, again, the owner of the cow and the person who's renting it agreed to share the profits. Or muskeres. Muskeres, I will say, ultimately means the cow was leased out. Or ultimately, again, the cow was a phrasing out. If it happens, the cow that was either leased out, rented out, or was just grazing gives birth. So I'll say, so the status is, the question is, does the Bachar have the right to share in that offspring? That new offspring, what's the halacha? Bachar portion in that offspring as well. On the flip side of Osai, if let's say again after the death of the father, but before the division of the estate, the other brothers go ahead and build homes on the estate or plant vineyards, the Bachar will say does not get a double portion. So we'll say it's actually very interesting. What is the Gemara saying? But the Gemara is interesting that Rashbam explains this is if the estate property appreciates on its own after the death of the father, so the Bachar goes ahead and shares in that appreciation. So the simple example of that is the father leaves behind the cow gives birth. The cow gives birth. Now the Gemara is very specific in its example over here that the cow is in the hands of someone else. So it's rented out, it's leased out, or it's free range. So none of the brothers are actively tending to the cow. The appreciation is what we call memela. It happens on its own. Therefore, the Bachar shares pishnai. However, if estate improvements occur through the efforts of the other brothers, the example is they build a house that they're going to rent on the estate, or they go ahead and they plan. Although we'll discuss about the permissibility of building on estate property before the division of the estate. We'll get into that. Or they go ahead and they improve vineyards that are there. So we'll say in those cases, Lamaisa, where the appreciation or improvement in the estate ultimately comes about because of the efforts of the other brothers, the Bachar does not get Pishnayim in that. Gemara says, so as he asks the Gemara, I don't understand. So we're going to explore that concept a bit more because that's a very profound yisod. So now the Gemara jumps back for just a second. We said if the father is a Kohen and he dies and he left behind in his estate Kohanic gifts of Zroa, Lechayim, and Keva, the foreleg, the jaw, the stomach. So the Bachar gets Pishnayim in that. So which the Gemara says, well, what's the case? Haychidami. So we'll say if the father already had in his possession at the time of his death, then what? Then Lamaisa, again, it's obvious that the Bachar gets Pishnayim. And if the father doesn't yet have it, then what? It's Roihu. I will say it's right. I mean, it's an entitlement. But as an entitlement, ultimately, again, he doesn't get anything. Ve'ein bechar nota b'roi k'muchsak. I will say we've established many times a bechar only gets that which the estate owns, not that which the estate is owed. So what's the case of where he gets the Zroa L'chaim of the father? Hacha b'makire kahuna askinon. I will say this is amazing. This is where you have a situation where the father was a Kohen. I will say makir kahuna means I will say that it was common for Yisrael families to have very close relationships with certain Kohanic families, where there was understanding that what? That any Kohanic gifts that I get, I'm giving to you. Right? Any Kohanic gifts that I get, I'm giving to. I'm close to the Aaron Kohen, he's my neighbor. Right? So anything that I get, I give to you. So what's the idea? So therefore, again, udishtachit b'chaye davur. We'll say, so the case over here is where what? Let's say again, the neighbors, Yisrael neighbor, we'll call him Yisrael, shechted an animal while Aaron Kohen was still alive. So we'll say, so it was understood that what was going to happen, there was going to be these Kohanic gifts of the foreleg, the jaw, and the stomach. And again, the way it always worked is Yisrael always gave his Kohanic gifts to Aaron Kohen. So we'll say, so the animal was shechted during the lifetime of Aaron, before Aaron died, but then Aaron dies before he can actually get the gifts. The kasavar matanos shlo hormu kemi shohormu damu. Ultimately, again, it teaches us, we'll stop over here, but the idea the Gemara is teaching us is that Lamaisa, even Kohanic gifts that have not yet been separated are considered as if they are separated in the case of Makire Kuna. So we'll say it's actually a very specific case. So the case over here is where Aaron Kohen lives next door. And again, it doesn't have to be living next door, which understand, to Yisrael, his neighbor. Yisrael always gives him his matnos kahuna. Is what we call again Makire Kahuna. Therefore, what the Gemara is saying over here is the following. As long as that animal was shechted during the lifetime of Aaron, it's as if what? Those Kohanic gifts were separated and given to Aaron, so that when Aaron dies, his Bechor gets Pishtayim in those Kohanic gifts, because those Kohanic gifts are not considered to be Roi, rather considered to ultimately be Muchsak. All right, so we'll stop over here. We'll pick up here.